Silence settles in, and for a brief moment, everything slows down. The noise of the world fades, the constant rush of thoughts begins to quiet, and your heart is given space to breathe. In that stillness, you begin to feel something you may not have felt in a long time, a sense of being present, a sense of being aware. And in that moment, a question gently reaches you: what if this message you're about to hear is not random? What if it is not just another video, another reminder you scroll past? What if this is exactly what your heart needed today? There are days when you feel lost, even if everything around you seems fine. Days when your heart feels heavy for no clear reason, when your mind keeps racing with worries, regrets, and fears about what's ahead. You smile in front of people, you go through your routine, but deep inside, something feels off. Something feels empty, and you don't always know how to explain it. Sometimes, that feeling comes from being overwhelmed. Life moves fast, expectations grow, responsibilities increase, and before you realize it, your heart becomes tired. Not physically tired, but emotionally drained. You start searching for relief in everything around you: distractions, entertainment, people, achievements, hoping that something will finally bring you peace. But no matter how much you try, that deep sense of calm remains just out of reach. And the truth is, many people are searching for peace in places that were never meant to give it. They look for happiness in temporary things, in moments that fade, in validation that doesn't last. They try to fill a spiritual emptiness with worldly solutions, not realizing that what they are missing cannot be replaced by anything in this world. That emptiness you feel, it is not weakness. It is not failure. It is a sign that your soul is calling for something real, something pure, something that was always meant to guide you. It is a reminder that your heart was not created to be satisfied by temporary things. Your heart was created to connect with something greater. And that is where the Quran comes in. Not as just a book sitting on a shelf. Not as something recited without reflection, but as a living message. A message that speaks to your pain, your confusion, your struggles, and your silent tears. A message that understands you in ways no one else can. The Quran is not distant. It is not meant only for scholars or for those who already feel strong in their faith. It is for you, exactly as you are right now. Whether you feel close to Allah or far away, whether your heart feels soft or hardened, whether you are full of hope or drowning in doubt, this message is for you. Every verse carries meaning beyond what we first see. Words that were revealed centuries ago still speak directly to the hearts of people today. And that is not a coincidence. That is divine. That is the power of a message that comes from the one who created your heart and knows every detail within it. Think about it. Allah knows what you are going through right now. He knows the thoughts you cannot say out loud. He knows the pain you hide behind your smile. He knows the moments you feel alone, even when surrounded by people. And despite all of that, He did not leave you without guidance. Instead, He sent you words. Words that heal, words that guide, words that remind you that you are not alone, even when it feels like you are. Words that gently call you back, no matter how far you think you've gone. Sometimes, we think we need something extraordinary to change our lives. A big moment, a sudden breakthrough, a dramatic shift. But often, all it takes is one message. One verse, one reminder that reaches your heart at the right time and changes the way you see everything. And maybe, just maybe, this is that moment for you. Maybe this is the reminder your heart has been waiting for, not by chance, not by accident, but by the will of Allah. Because He knows when your heart is ready. He knows when you need to hear something that brings you back, something that softens your heart, something that reminds you of who you are and where you truly belong. So as you continue listening, don't just hear the words. Feel them. Let them reach the parts of your heart that have been silent for too long. Allow yourself to reflect, to pause, to reconnect. Because this is not just a message. This is a reminder sent to you. As those words begin to settle into your heart, you may start to feel something shifting within you. A quiet realization, a gentle awakening, as if a door inside your chest is slowly opening. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you begin to understand that the heaviness you've been carrying was never meant to stay there forever. There are moments in life when everything feels uncertain, when you don't know which direction to take, when your plans fall apart, when the future feels unclear and overwhelming. In those moments, your heart searches for stability, for something firm to hold on to. But the world around you keeps changing, and so does everything you rely on. People come and go, situations change without warning, even your own emotions rise and fall without control. And when everything around you feels unstable, your heart becomes restless. It starts asking questions. Why is this happening? Why do I feel this way? Where do I go from here? But what if the answer you've been searching for was never meant to be found in the world around you? What if the peace you're looking for was always meant to come from something deeper, something constant, something that never changes? The Quran speaks to that exact feeling. It doesn't ignore your confusion. It doesn't dismiss your pain. Instead, it acknowledges it, and then gently redirects your heart to something greater. It reminds you that this life was never meant to be perfect, and that your struggles are not a sign of abandonment, but a part of a greater purpose. Sometimes, we misunderstand our hardships. We see them as obstacles, as punishments, as reasons to feel distant from Allah. But in reality, they can be invitations. Invitations to return. Invitations to reflect. Invitations to reconnect with the one who has always been there, even when you felt alone. Think about the times you felt closest to Allah. Was it when everything was perfect? Or was it in the moments when you felt broken, when you had no one else to turn to, when your heart finally whispered, "Ya Allah," with sincerity? There is something powerful about a heart that turns back after feeling lost. Something beautiful about a soul that remembers its creator after being distracted by the world. And that is why the Quran keeps calling you back, again and again, no matter how far you think you've gone. It reminds you that your relationship with Allah is not based on perfection. It is based on return. Every time you come back, every time you remember Him, every time you raise your hands in dua, even after making mistakes, that is what matters. And maybe you've been feeling distant lately. Maybe your connection feels weaker than it used to. Maybe you've been caught up in life, in distractions, in things that slowly pulled your heart away. And now you're here, listening, wondering if you can still come back. The answer is yes, always yes, no matter how long it's been, no matter what you've done, no matter how heavy your heart feels right now. The door is still open. The path is still there, and Allah is still waiting for you, with mercy greater than anything you can imagine. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to be perfect before you return. You just need to take one step, one sincere step towards Him, and you will find that He comes closer to you in ways you never expected. So don't let your past hold you back. Don't let your doubts convince you that you are too far gone. Because the very fact that you are listening to this right now, the very fact that your heart is still searching, is proof that you are not lost. You are being guided, and sometimes, guidance doesn't come as a loud, life-changing moment. Sometimes, it comes quietly, through a reminder like this, through a message that touches your heart in a way nothing else has. So hold on to this feeling. Don't ignore it. Don't let it fade away as you return to your routine. Let it stay with you. Let it grow. Let it become the beginning of something new, something real, something that brings your heart back to where it truly belongs. As your heart begins to soften and reflect, there is a verse from the Quran that speaks directly to this very moment, a verse that has calmed hearts for centuries, a verse that feels as if it was revealed for souls exactly like yours. Allah says that surely, in the remembrance of Him, hearts find true peace. Not temporary relief, not distraction, but real, lasting peace that settles deep within. Think about that for a moment. Every feeling you've been chasing, every sense of calm you've been searching for in different places, Allah is telling you clearly where it truly comes from. Not from the world, not from people, not from achievements, but from remembering Him. Because your heart was created by Him, and only He knows how to bring it back to life. When a person turns away from that remembrance, even unknowingly, the heart begins to feel restless. It starts to feel empty, even if everything on the outside looks complete. You may have moments of happiness, but deep inside, something still feels unsettled. And that is because the heart is missing what it was designed to hold, the connection with its Creator. The scholars explain that this peace mentioned in the verse is not dependent on your situation. It is not something that only comes when life is easy. It is a type of tranquility that can exist even in the middle of hardship. A calmness that remains even when everything around you feels chaotic. And that is what makes it so powerful. Look at the lives of the prophets. They went through trials far greater than anything we can imagine, yet their hearts remained firm. Why? Because their connection with Allah was stronger than their connection to the world. Their reliance was not on circumstances, but on the one who controls all circumstances. Take the example of Prophet Yunus, who found himself in the darkness of the sea, inside the belly of a whale, surrounded by layers of fear and isolation. In that moment, when there was no way out by human means, he didn't lose hope. Instead, he turned to Allah with sincere remembrance, acknowledging his weakness and calling upon his Lord. And it was that remembrance that became the means of his rescue. Or think about Prophet Ayyub, who endured years of illness, loss, and hardship. His body weakened, his resources disappeared, and people around him distanced themselves. Yet his heart never lost its connection with Allah. He didn't complain about his suffering, he turned to Allah with humility and trust. And in response, Allah restored him, not just physically, but spiritually, elevating his rank. These are not just stories. These are lessons meant for you. They show you that no matter how deep your struggle feels, you are never beyond the reach of Allah's mercy. And more importantly, they show you that the key to surviving those struggles is not found in escaping them, but in turning to Allah through them. Sometimes, we wait for our problems to end before we try to reconnect. We tell ourselves, once things get better, I'll pray more. Once I feel okay, I'll come back to Allah. But the Quran teaches the opposite. It teaches that it is through turning to Allah that things begin to change, starting from within your heart. And that change may not always be visible immediately. Your situation might remain the same for a while. The challenges might still be there, but something inside you begins to shift. Your perspective changes, your patience grows, your trust deepens, and suddenly, what once felt unbearable becomes something you can carry with strength. Another powerful reminder from the Quran tells us that Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. This is not just a comforting statement, it is a reality that reshapes how you view your struggles. It means that whatever you are facing right now, no matter how heavy it feels, you have been given the strength to handle it, even if you don't feel that strength yet. Sometimes, that strength is hidden beneath layers of doubt and fear. But it is there, and as you reconnect with Allah, as you begin to remember Him more, that strength starts to reveal itself. Slowly, gently, but surely. So if your heart feels overwhelmed right now, if your mind is filled with worries, return to these words. Not just by reading them, but by letting them live within you. Reflect on them, repeat them, carry them with you in your moments of weakness and your moments of strength. Because the Quran is not just meant to be heard. It is meant to be experienced. It is meant to transform the way you think, the way you feel, the way you live. And as you continue this journey, remember this, every time you turn back to Allah, even with a small step, you are moving closer to a peace that nothing in this world can ever replace. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that the heart cannot survive on worldly things alone. You can achieve goals, collect possessions, receive praise from people, and still feel a hidden emptiness inside. Because the heart has needs that the world cannot fulfill. The body needs food and water, but the soul needs something greater. It needs connection with the one who created it. Many people spend years trying to fix their lives from the outside while ignoring what is happening inside their hearts. They change their surroundings, chase new opportunities, seek approval from others, and search for happiness in temporary moments. But after all of that, they still feel a quiet sadness they cannot explain. That sadness is sometimes a reminder from Allah, not a sign that you have been forgotten, but a sign that your heart is asking to return. Allah, in His mercy, allows us to feel that emptiness because He wants us to recognize where true fulfillment comes from. Sometimes the discomfort inside your heart is actually a mercy guiding you back to Him. The first step toward healing is to be honest with yourself and with Allah. You do not need perfect words. You do not need a long speech. Allah already knows what is hidden inside your chest. He knows your fears, your regrets, your struggles, and the battles you fight silently every day. Sometimes the most powerful dua is not a long one. Sometimes it is simply saying, Ya Allah, I need you. Sometimes it is a tear that falls during prayer. Sometimes it is a quiet moment when your heart turns toward Him after feeling lost for so long. Never underestimate the value of a sincere return to Allah. A person may think, I have made too many mistakes, or I have been away for too long. But Allah's mercy is greater than your mistakes. The door of repentance is not closed because you struggled. The door is open because Allah is the most merciful. One of the most beautiful ways to reconnect with Allah is through small, consistent actions. Many people think they need to transform overnight. They want to become a completely different person in one day. But Islam teaches us the beauty of gradual growth. A small action done consistently can have a tremendous impact on the heart. Start with something simple. Take a few minutes each day to read the Quran, even if it is only a few verses. Do not rush through the words. Pause, reflect, ask yourself, what is Allah teaching me through this? Because the Quran is not only meant for your tongue to recite, it is meant for your heart to understand. Make dhikr part of your daily life. When your mind becomes overwhelmed, remember Allah. When anxiety begins to take control, say words that bring your heart back to Him. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. These are not just phrases, they are reminders that Allah is greater than your worries and greater than every problem you face. Create moments where you speak to Allah privately, not only during difficult times, but also during peaceful moments. Tell Him about your dreams, your fears, your hopes, and your weaknesses. A relationship with Allah grows through communication, just like any meaningful relationship grows through time and sincerity. And remember, prayer is not just an obligation, it is an opportunity. When you stand before Allah, you are standing before the one who knows everything about you and still welcomes you. The one who knows every mistake you have made and still gives you countless opportunities to return. Sometimes you may pray and still feel broken. Sometimes you may make dua and wonder when the answer will come. But never think that Allah is ignoring you. A delayed answer is not a forgotten answer. Allah's timing carries wisdom that we may not understand immediately. Look back at your life and remember the moments you thought you would never overcome. The difficulties you thought would destroy you. The pain you thought would never leave. Yet here you are. Allah carried you through moments you did not think you could survive. That same Allah is with you today. So begin again. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel completely ready. Begin with the heart you have right now. Bring your weaknesses, your fears, and your imperfections to Allah. Because Allah does not ask you to come as someone who never falls. He asks you to come back whenever you fall. Your journey toward Allah is not about never making mistakes. It is about never giving up on returning. Every step toward Him matters. Every sincere effort matters. Every moment you choose faith over despair matters. And perhaps this is the moment your heart needed to hear this reminder. You are not too far away. Your story is not finished. Your connection with Allah can become stronger than ever before. All it takes is one sincere step back toward Him. There are moments in life when the heart reaches a point where it feels completely exhausted. You have tried your best, you have made plans, you have searched for solutions, but somehow the situation still does not change. You begin to wonder, how much longer can I continue? You begin to question, when will Allah open a door for me? And in those moments, the Quran teaches us one of the greatest lessons of faith, trusting Allah when you cannot see the way forward. Because true trust in Allah does not mean that life will always be easy. It does not mean that you will never experience pain, disappointment, or uncertainty. Tawakkul means that even when you cannot understand the situation, you believe that Allah understands everything. Even when you cannot see the path, you trust the one who created the path. Look at the story of Prophet Ibrahim. Imagine the strength of faith it required when he was commanded to leave his family in a barren valley with no visible resources. There were no fields, no buildings, no signs of comfort. From a human perspective, it looked impossible. How could a family survive in a place with nothing? But Prophet Ibrahim did not measure Allah's command by what his eyes could see. He measured it by who Allah is. He knew that the one who created the entire universe does not abandon those who trust Him. When his wife Hajar asked why they were being left in such a place, she eventually understood that this was a command from Allah. And when she realized Allah was behind this situation, her heart found peace. She trusted that the one who brought them there would take care of them. Then came the moment when Hajar had to search for water for her child. She ran between the hills of Safa and Marwa, searching, struggling, and doing everything she could. She did not simply sit and wait. She took action while trusting Allah. And after her effort, Allah brought forth the miracle of Zamzam, a blessing that continues until today. This teaches us something powerful. Trusting Allah does not mean doing nothing. It means you take the steps you can take, and you leave the results to Allah. You make the effort, but you know the outcome is always in His hands. Sometimes we become stressed because we think everything depends on us. We carry the weight of the future on our shoulders. We believe that if we do not control every detail, everything will fall apart. But Allah never asked you to control everything. He asked you to trust Him. Another powerful example is the life of Prophet Yusuf. His story began with betrayal, when his own brothers placed him in a difficult situation. Imagine the pain of being harmed by those closest to you. Imagine being separated from your family and thrown into a place you never expected to be. But what looked like the end of his story was actually the beginning of Allah's plan. Years passed. Yusuf faced hardship, false accusations, and imprisonment. From the outside, it seemed like one difficulty after another. But Allah was preparing him for something greater. Every moment of difficulty was building his character, increasing his patience, and moving him toward a position he could not have imagined. Eventually, the same person who was once abandoned became a person of honor and influence. The same prison that seemed like a punishment became a pathway to his destiny. The same pain that seemed meaningless became part of a beautiful plan. This is a reminder for every heart that is struggling today. Just because you cannot see the wisdom behind your situation does not mean there is no wisdom. Just because you cannot see Allah's plan does not mean Allah has forgotten you. Sometimes Allah is arranging things behind the scenes. Sometimes doors are closing because He is protecting you from something you cannot see. Sometimes delays are not rejection, they are preparation. Think about how many times you wanted something so badly, but later you realized Allah gave you something better. How many times did you cry over something that did not happen, only to discover that Allah was saving you from a path that was not meant for you? The human heart sees one moment. Allah sees the entire journey. You see today's difficulty. Allah sees tomorrow's blessing. You see the closed door. Allah sees the door that will open at the perfect time. This is why faith gives the believer strength that the world cannot understand. A person who trusts Allah may still cry, may still feel pain, may still experience difficulty, but they are never truly broken, because their heart is attached to the one who never fails. So when life becomes heavy, remember the stories of those who came before you. Remember Ibrahim standing with complete trust. Remember Hajar running with faith and effort. Remember Yusuf remaining patient through years of hardship. Their stories were not revealed only to be admired. They were revealed to strengthen you. Your hardship has a purpose. Your patience has a reward. Your tears are known by Allah. And maybe right now, you are standing in a chapter that does not make sense. Maybe you are waiting for your own Zamzam, your own opening, your own moment when Allah shows you why you had to go through what you went through. Keep trusting, because the one who wrote the story of Ibrahim, Hajar, and Yusuf is writing your story too. And when Allah writes the next chapter, it will always be better than anything you could have planned for yourself. There are struggles that you can explain to people, and there are struggles that only Allah knows. There are tears that fall in private, moments when you sit alone with your thoughts, moments when you feel a heaviness in your heart that no one around you notices. You may continue smiling, continue working, continue helping others, while carrying a pain that nobody knows exists. But remember this powerful truth: Allah knows. Before you speak a single word, Allah knows what is inside your heart. Before you explain your pain to anyone, Allah already understands it. Before anyone recognizes your struggle, Allah has already seen every moment you endured silently. Sometimes, one of the hardest feelings a person can experience is feeling unseen. Feeling like nobody understands what you are going through. You may try to express yourself, but people may not fully understand your situation. They may judge your actions without knowing your battles. They may see your mistakes without knowing the pain behind them. But Allah is different. Allah does not only see what appears on the outside. He knows the reality within you. He knows the thoughts you hide, the fears you never mention, and the wounds you cover with patience. Nothing about you is hidden from Him. The Quran reminds us that Allah is closer to us than we can imagine. He knows the whispers of the heart and the secrets of the soul. This closeness is not just a concept, it is a source of comfort. It means that even in your loneliest moments, you are never truly alone. Think about Prophet Yaqub. His heart experienced a pain that lasted for years. He lost his beloved son Yusuf, and that separation caused him deep sadness. His grief was so intense that he cried until his eyes became affected. Yet even in that pain, he did not turn away from Allah. He did not hide his sadness from Allah. Instead, he turned his sadness toward the one who could heal it. He said, "I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah." Look at the beauty of this statement. Prophet Yaqub did not say he had no pain. He did not pretend everything was fine. He did not deny his emotions. He acknowledged his sadness, but he placed it in the hands of Allah. This teaches us something important. Being a believer does not mean you never feel hurt. It does not mean you never cry. It does not mean you never experience sadness. Faith means that when your heart breaks, you know where to take that brokenness. Take it to Allah, because people may listen to your words, but Allah understands your silence. People may see your tears, but Allah knows the pain that caused them. People may know your story, but Allah knows every hidden chapter. Sometimes Allah allows you to feel alone with people so that you learn what it means to be close to Him. Sometimes He removes your dependence on creation so that your heart learns to depend on the Creator. And this is not a punishment. It is a form of mercy. Because when your heart becomes attached only to people, disappointment becomes inevitable. People change, people misunderstand, people forget, but Allah never changes. Allah never forgets. Allah never becomes too busy to hear you. The world may not recognize your struggle, but Allah counts every moment of patience. Every night you cried but still prayed. Every time you were hurt but chose kindness. Every time you felt weak but continued moving forward. Every moment you whispered, "Ya Allah, help me," even when you felt like giving up. None of it is lost. The Quran teaches us that Allah is aware of every hardship and every difficulty we experience. He is Al-Alim, the one who knows everything. He is Al-Kabir, the one who knows the deepest realities. He knows not only what happened to you, but how it affected your heart. Maybe you are carrying a pain from your past. Maybe there is something you still struggle to accept. Maybe there is a wound that people think you should have moved on from, but Allah knows how difficult that journey has been. Do not think your healing has to happen instantly. Even healing is a journey. Sometimes Allah heals your situation. Sometimes He heals your heart before He changes your circumstances. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not that the problem disappears immediately, but that Allah gives you strength to face it with peace. A heart connected to Allah can find light even in dark places. Look at Prophet Yunus. In the darkness of the ocean, in the darkness of the night, and in the darkness inside the whale, there was no human being who could rescue him. No friend could reach him. No worldly solution could save him. But Allah heard him, and if Allah heard Yunus in the depths of darkness, Allah can hear you wherever you are today. Your situation may feel impossible. Your worries may feel overwhelming. Your heart may feel tired. But the same Allah who responded to the cries of His prophets is listening to your cries too. So do not lose hope because people do not understand you. Do not lose hope because your journey looks different from others. Do not lose hope because your prayers have not been answered in the way you expected. Allah is working in ways you cannot always see. The pain you carry today may become the wisdom you share tomorrow. The tears you shed today may become the strength that helps someone else later. The hardship that tested you may become the reason your relationship with Allah becomes stronger than ever before. Remember this: you may be invisible to the world, but you are never invisible to Allah. Your heart is known, your pain is known, your prayers are known, and the one who knows everything about you is the one who has the power to heal everything within you. There are moments when the heart feels tired in a way that words cannot describe. A person may continue living, continue working, continue meeting responsibilities, but inside there is a quiet struggle that nobody sees. The heart becomes heavy from disappointment, fear, regret, and the countless worries that accumulate over time. And in those moments, Allah has given us one of the greatest gifts and sources of healing, the Quran. The Quran is not only a book of guidance. It is a source of comfort for hearts that are hurting. It is a reminder for those who feel lost, a light for those walking through darkness, and a healing for those carrying wounds that cannot be seen. Allah tells us in the Quran that He has sent down what is a healing and mercy for the believers. Notice the beauty of this description. Allah does not describe the Quran as just information. He describes it as healing. Because Allah knows that human beings do not only need answers for their minds, they need healing for their hearts. A person can know many things but still feel broken inside. They can understand the world but still struggle with sadness. They can have success but still feel empty. This is because the deepest problems of the human being are not always solved by knowledge alone. Some wounds need mercy, some pain needs comfort, some emptiness needs a connection with Allah. The Quran reaches places inside the heart that nothing else can reach. A message from another person may comfort you for a moment, but the words of Allah have a different power. They come from the one who created your heart, the one who knows every emotion you experience, and the one who knows exactly what you need. Think about when you feel anxious about the future. Your mind creates countless scenarios. You worry about what might happen, what could go wrong, and whether you will be able to handle what is coming. But the Quran reminds you that your future is already known by Allah. You do not know tomorrow, but Allah does. You do not know what is hidden, but Allah does. You do not know the wisdom behind every event, but Allah does. And when the heart truly accepts this, a different kind of peace begins to enter. Not because every problem disappears, but because you realize you are not carrying life alone. The Quran teaches the heart to trust again. Many people lose peace because they carry the weight of things they were never meant to control. They worry about people's opinions, outcomes, timing, and circumstances. They exhaust themselves trying to manage every detail of life. But Allah reminds us that He is the one in control. Your responsibility is effort. Your responsibility is sincerity. Your responsibility is turning toward Him. The results belong to Allah. This is why Quranic healing begins by changing how you see your problems. Before the Quran changes your situation, it changes your heart. It teaches you patience when you want to give up. It teaches you gratitude when you focus only on what you lack. It teaches you hope when everything seems hopeless. Look at how the Quran speaks to those who feel overwhelmed. Allah reminds us not to despair of His mercy. This message is powerful because despair is one of the greatest weapons against the human heart. When a person begins believing that they are too far away, that their mistakes are too many, or that their situation can never improve, they stop trying. But Allah does not want you to give up. He wants you to return. No matter how many times you have fallen, the opportunity to rise again remains. No matter how many mistakes are behind you, Allah's mercy is greater. No matter how dark your past feels, Allah can create a beautiful future. The Quran teaches us that our mistakes are not the end of our story. They can become the reason we return to Allah with a more humble heart. Sometimes the person who has struggled the most becomes the person who understands mercy the deepest. A heart that has experienced hardship can become a heart full of compassion. A heart that has known pain can become a heart that comforts others. A heart that has been lost can become a heart that guides others back to Allah. This is the transformation that the Quran creates. But to experience this healing, we must build a relationship with the Quran. Not only opening it when we face difficulties, but making it part of our daily life. Read a few verses every day. Reflect on one message. Listen with the intention of allowing Allah's words to change you. Sometimes one verse can stay with your heart for years. Sometimes one reminder can change the way you see your entire life. Do not underestimate small moments with the Quran. A few minutes of sincere reflection can be more valuable than hours spent searching for peace in temporary things. When your heart feels anxious, return to the Quran. When you feel lost, return to the Quran. When you feel distant from Allah, return to the Quran. Because the Quran is not just something you read. It is something that reads your heart. It reveals what you need to fix. It reminds you of what you forgot. It brings light to places inside you that became dark through the struggles of life. And maybe today, Allah is calling you back to this connection. Maybe the reason your heart feels unsettled is because it is searching for the words of its Creator. So open the Quran with a different intention. Do not approach it as a routine. Approach it as a conversation between Allah and your heart, because within its verses are reminders for your sadness, guidance for your confusion, and hope for your future. The Quran was sent to guide humanity, but sometimes one verse is sent to heal one heart, and maybe that heart is yours. There is a battle that many people fight silently every day. It is not a battle that others can see. It happens inside the mind, inside the heart, in the quiet moments when you are alone with your thoughts. It is the battle of fear, anxiety, and overthinking. Your mind starts creating endless questions. What if something goes wrong? What if I fail? What if the future does not turn out the way I hope? What if I lose something important to me? These thoughts continue repeating until your heart becomes exhausted from carrying worries about things that have not even happened yet. And the hardest part is that sometimes you know you should trust Allah, but your heart still feels afraid. You believe that Allah is in control, but your mind keeps trying to control everything. You know Allah has a plan, but your emotions struggle to accept what you cannot see. This is the human experience. Even the strongest believers experience moments of fear and uncertainty. Faith does not mean you never feel afraid. Faith means that when fear enters your heart, you know where to take it. You take it to Allah. The Quran teaches us that the hearts of believers find comfort through remembering Allah. This reminder is powerful because anxiety often comes when the heart becomes attached to things it cannot control. We worry because we try to carry tomorrow before it arrives. We try to solve problems that Allah has not even placed in front of us yet. But Allah only asks you to live today. Tomorrow belongs to Him. The future belongs to Him. Every unseen moment belongs to Him. Think about how much energy we waste worrying about things that never happen. How many nights have we lost sleep because of fears that never became reality? How many times have we imagined the worst outcome, only for Allah to open a door we never expected? This is the mercy of Allah. He has carried you through every difficult moment you thought you could not survive. Look back at your life. Remember the problems that once felt impossible. Remember the moments when you thought there was no solution. Remember the days when your heart was filled with fear and uncertainty. Yet somehow, you are still here. The same Allah who brought you through yesterday is the same Allah who will take care of tomorrow. One of the greatest forms of worship is learning to trust Allah when your heart wants immediate answers. Because humans naturally want certainty. We want to know what will happen, when it will happen, and how everything will unfold. But Allah asks us to have faith in the one who already knows. Imagine a child walking with a loving parent. The child may not understand where they are going. They may not know why they have to wait or why they cannot have everything immediately. But they trust because they know the person holding their hand cares for them. Our relationship with Allah is even greater. Allah's knowledge is perfect. His mercy is endless. His wisdom is beyond our understanding. Sometimes the thing you fear losing is something Allah is protecting you from. Sometimes the delay you dislike is actually Allah preparing something better. Sometimes the closed door you cry over is Allah saving you from a path that would have harmed you. But when we are in the middle of a test, we often only see the pain. We do not see the wisdom behind it. That is why trust in Allah is so powerful. Tawakkul does not remove every difficulty from life. It removes the feeling that you are facing difficulty alone. A person with tawakkul may still have problems, but their heart has peace because they know the creator of the problem is also the creator of the solution. Allah tells us in the Quran that whoever relies upon Him, He will be enough for them. Think about the depth of this promise. Allah does not say He will give you everything exactly as you imagine. He says He will be enough. Enough to protect you, enough to guide you, enough to strengthen you, enough to carry you through what you thought would break you. Sometimes Allah's greatest gift is not changing the situation immediately. Sometimes His greatest gift is changing you inside the situation. He gives you patience when you thought you had none. He gives you strength when you thought you were weak. He gives you calmness when everything around you feels chaotic. And slowly, you begin to realize that peace was never found in controlling everything. Peace was found in surrendering everything to the one who controls it all. So when your mind starts overthinking, pause and remember. Allah is aware. Allah is near. Allah is in control. Your worries are not bigger than His mercy. Your problems are not bigger than His power. Your future is not outside His knowledge. Take a moment today to release what you cannot control. Place your fears in the hands of Allah. Make your dua. Take your steps. Then trust the result to Him. Because the heart that depends on Allah is never truly lost. The road may be unclear, but the guide is perfect. The future may be unknown, but the one who holds it is Allah. And when Allah is taking care of your tomorrow, you can find peace in your today. There is a feeling that many people carry quietly inside their hearts, the feeling of being distant from Allah. It is a feeling that can be painful because deep down, every believer wants to feel connected to their Creator. They want to feel the sweetness of prayer, the peace of remembrance, and the closeness that comes from a heart attached to Allah. But sometimes life happens. Sometimes we become distracted. Sometimes responsibilities become heavy. Sometimes we fall into mistakes that make us feel ashamed. Sometimes days pass, then weeks, and we realize that our relationship with Allah is not where we want it to be. And when that happens, a dangerous thought can enter the heart. Maybe I have gone too far. Maybe Allah does not want me anymore. Maybe I have made too many mistakes to return. But this thought is not from Allah's mercy. Allah's message is always a message of hope. The Quran repeatedly reminds us that Allah is the most merciful, the one who forgives, the one who accepts those who return to Him. Allah does not close the door because you struggled. He opens the door because He knows you need to come back. Think about a person who loses their way while traveling. When they realize they are going in the wrong direction, the most important thing is not how far they have traveled incorrectly. The most important thing is that they turn back toward the right path. Your past does not have to decide your future. Your mistakes do not have to define your relationship with Allah. Your moments of weakness do not erase Allah's endless mercy. Sometimes the reason people remain distant from Allah is not because they do not care. Sometimes it is because they feel too guilty to return. They look at their sins and forget to look at Allah's forgiveness. They remember what they did wrong, but they forget who Allah is. They remember their mistakes, but they forget His mercy. They remember their failures, but they forget His ability to transform hearts. Allah tells us not to despair of His mercy. This verse is one of the greatest reminders for anyone who feels broken because of their past. Allah is not telling you that your mistakes are small. He is reminding you that His mercy is greater. No matter how heavy your regret feels, Allah's forgiveness is greater. No matter how many times you have fallen, Allah's door remains open. No matter how distant you feel, Allah is closer than you think. Look at the story of the person mentioned in the hadith who committed many sins and thought there was no hope for him. He had taken a path filled with mistakes, but when he sincerely wanted to change and return to Allah, he began his journey toward forgiveness. This teaches us something powerful. The moment you decide to return to Allah is a moment of mercy. Your return does not have to begin with perfection. It begins with sincerity. It begins with a heart that says, Ya Allah, I have made mistakes, but I need you. That one sentence can change everything. Because Allah does not expect you to come to Him as someone who has never fallen. He wants you to come as someone who recognizes their need for Him. Sometimes falling teaches you humility. Sometimes regret softens a heart that had become hard. Sometimes a mistake becomes the reason a person develops a deeper relationship with Allah than they ever had before. The believer is not someone who never makes mistakes. The believer is someone who continues returning. Every time you make wudu after a long period of neglect. Every time you open the Quran after months of distance. Every time you raise your hands in dua after feeling disconnected. Every time you say, Astaghfirullah, with sincerity, that is a step back toward Allah. And Allah loves those who return. Do not wait until you feel completely ready. Do not wait until your heart feels perfectly pure. Do not wait until you think you have changed enough. Return now. Return with the heart you have today. Allah can rebuild what you think is broken. He can replace guilt with hope. He can replace sadness with peace. He can replace distance with closeness. The same Allah who guided you before can guide you again. Maybe you remember a time when your faith was stronger. Maybe you remember nights when you enjoyed prayer, moments when Quran touched your heart, days when you felt close to Allah. Do not think those moments are gone forever. The heart can return. The heart can become alive again. Faith rises and falls. Every believer experiences moments of weakness. But the greatest tragedy is not falling. The greatest tragedy is refusing to stand again. So stand again. Turn back again. Call upon Allah again. Because every step you take toward Him is valued. The Prophet taught us that Allah is happier with the repentance of His servant than a person who finds something precious they had lost. This shows us the beauty of Allah's relationship with His servants. He does not push you away when you return. He welcomes you with mercy. So do not let shame keep you away from the one who can forgive you. Do not let your past become a wall between you and Allah. Let your past become the reason you return with a more humble heart. Maybe the person you become after returning to Allah will be stronger, more grateful, and more connected than the person you were before. Your story is not over. Allah is still calling you. The door is still open. And today can be the beginning of your return. There is a feeling that many people carry quietly inside their hearts, the feeling of being distant from Allah. It is a feeling that can be painful because deep down, every believer wants to feel connected to their Creator. They want to feel the sweetness of prayer, the peace of remembrance, and the closeness that comes from a heart attached to Allah. But sometimes life happens. Sometimes we become distracted. Sometimes responsibilities become heavy. Sometimes we fall into mistakes that make us feel ashamed. Sometimes days pass, then weeks, and we realize that our relationship with Allah is not where we want it to be. And when that happens, a dangerous thought can enter the heart. Maybe I have gone too far. Maybe Allah does not want me anymore. Maybe I have made too many mistakes to return. But this thought is not from Allah's mercy. Allah's message is always a message of hope. The Quran repeatedly reminds us that Allah is the most merciful, the one who forgives, the one who accepts those who return to Him. Allah does not close the door because you struggled. He opens the door because He knows you need to come back. Think about a person who loses their way while traveling. When they realize they are going in the wrong direction, the most important thing is not how far they have traveled incorrectly. The most important thing is that they turn back toward the right path. Your past does not have to decide your future. Your mistakes do not have to define your relationship with Allah. Your moments of weakness do not erase Allah's endless mercy. Sometimes the reason people remain distant from Allah is not because they do not care. Sometimes it is because they feel too guilty to return. They look at their sins and forget to look at Allah's forgiveness. They remember what they did wrong, but they forget who Allah is. They remember their mistakes, but they forget His mercy. They remember their failures, but they forget His ability to transform hearts. Allah tells us not to despair of His mercy. This verse is one of the greatest reminders for anyone who feels broken because of their past. Allah is not telling you that your mistakes are small. He is reminding you that His mercy is greater. No matter how heavy your regret feels, Allah's forgiveness is greater. No matter how many times you have fallen, Allah's door remains open. No matter how distant you feel, Allah is closer than you think. Look at the story of the person mentioned in the hadith who committed many sins and thought there was no hope for him. He had taken a path filled with mistakes, but when he sincerely wanted to change and return to Allah, he began his journey toward forgiveness. This teaches us something powerful. The moment you decide to return to Allah is a moment of mercy. Your return does not have to begin with perfection. It begins with sincerity. It begins with a heart that says, Ya Allah, I have made mistakes, but I need you. That one sentence can change everything. Because Allah does not expect you to come to Him as someone who has never fallen. He wants you to come as someone who recognizes their need for Him. Sometimes falling teaches you humility. Sometimes regret softens a heart that had become hard. Sometimes a mistake becomes the reason a person develops a deeper relationship with Allah than they ever had before. The believer is not someone who never makes mistakes. The believer is someone who continues returning. Every time you make wudu after a long period of neglect. Every time you open the Quran after months of distance. Every time you raise your hands in dua after feeling disconnected. Every time you say, Astaghfirullah, with sincerity. That is a step back toward Allah. And Allah loves those who return. Do not wait until you feel completely ready. Do not wait until your heart feels perfectly pure. Do not wait until you think you have changed enough. Return now. Return with the heart you have today. Allah can rebuild what you think is broken. He can replace guilt with hope. He can replace sadness with peace. He can replace distance with closeness. The same Allah who guided you before can guide you again. Maybe you remember a time when your faith was stronger. Maybe you remember nights when you enjoyed prayer, moments when Quran touched your heart, days when you felt close to Allah. Do not think those moments are gone forever. The heart can return. The heart can become alive again. Faith rises and falls. Every believer experiences moments of weakness. But the greatest tragedy is not falling. The greatest tragedy is refusing to stand again. So stand again, turn back again, call upon Allah again, because every step you take toward Him is valued. The Prophet taught us that Allah is happier with the repentance of His servant than a person who finds something precious they had lost. This shows us the beauty of Allah's relationship with His servants. He does not push you away when you return. He welcomes you with mercy. So do not let shame keep you away from the one who can forgive you. Do not let your past become a wall between you and Allah. Let your past become the reason you return with a more humble heart. Maybe the person you become after returning to Allah will be stronger, more grateful, and more connected than the person you were before. Your story is not over. Allah is still calling you. The door is still open. And today can be the beginning of your return. There is something precious that every believer searches for throughout life, a heart that feels alive with faith. A heart that feels peace when remembering Allah. A heart that finds comfort in prayer. A heart that becomes softer when hearing the words of the Quran. But sometimes we feel the opposite. Sometimes the heart feels heavy. Worship feels difficult. Salah becomes something we rush through instead of something we look forward to. Quran becomes something we read without feeling its impact. Dhikr becomes something we say with the tongue but do not always feel with the heart. And when this happens, some people begin to think their faith is gone. But a weak heart does not mean a dead heart. The fact that you feel concerned about your relationship with Allah is itself a sign that your heart still cares. A person whose heart is completely disconnected does not worry about being disconnected. The desire to return, the sadness over feeling distant, the longing to feel close to Allah again, these are signs of a heart searching for its creator. Faith is not always at the same level. Even the companions of the Prophet experienced changes in their spiritual state. There were moments when their iman felt strong and moments when they felt weaker. This is part of being human. The important thing is not that your faith never decreases. The important thing is that you continue returning to Allah. Because the heart is like a garden. If you do not take care of it, weeds begin to grow. The distractions of the world, endless entertainment, constant worries, and attachment to temporary things can slowly cover the heart. But the moment you begin watering it again with Quran, Salah, and remembrance of Allah, it begins to come back to life. Allah reminds us in the Quran about the importance of hearts becoming humble through His remembrance. This is a powerful reminder because the heart was never created to be filled only with worldly concerns. The heart was created to know Allah. They can work hard to improve their worldly life but neglect the eternal life waiting ahead. But the Quran brings balance. It reminds you that your true success is not only measured by what you achieve in this world, but by how close you become to Allah. One of the most beautiful ways to soften the heart is through sincere salah. Prayer is not just a duty you complete. It is a meeting between you and Allah. Think about what happens when you stand for prayer. You leave behind the worries of the world. You stand before the King of everything. The one who created the universe allows you to speak to Him 5 times a day. What mercy is greater than this? Imagine having access to the one who controls everything. The one who can change situations, heal hearts, forgive sins, and open doors that seem impossible. And yet sometimes we delay that meeting. Sometimes Allah calls us through the adhan, but we remain attached to the things that will not benefit us forever. The solution is not to feel hopeless. The solution is to rebuild slowly. Start by protecting one prayer with more focus. Start by making one sincere dua after salah. Start by spending a few quiet moments with Allah before sleeping. Small acts done with love can transform the heart. The Prophet taught that the deeds most beloved to Allah are those that are consistent, even if they are small. This teaches us an important lesson. Spiritual growth is not always about doing something huge. It is about building a relationship with Allah step by step. Do not underestimate a single verse of Quran read with reflection. Do not underestimate a single moment of sincere tears in dua. Do not underestimate a single, Alhamdulillah, said from a grateful heart. Allah sees what others do not see. He sees your effort. He sees your struggle. He sees every small step you take toward Him. Sometimes people compare their faith to others. They look at someone who seems more religious, more knowledgeable, or more consistent, and they become discouraged. But your journey with Allah is personal. Allah is not asking you to become someone else. He is asking you to become the best version of yourself in your relationship with Him. The person who takes one sincere step today may be closer to Allah than the person who does many actions without sincerity. The heart is not changed overnight. It is changed through repeated moments of turning back to Allah. A verse that touches your heart. A prayer where you finally feel present. A moment of dhikr when you remember that Allah is near. These moments slowly rebuild the connection. And one day, you may look back and realize that the same heart that once felt empty became a heart full of peace. The same heart that struggled to pray began to find comfort in prayer. The same heart that felt distant from Allah began to feel His closeness everywhere. This is the beauty of returning to Allah. He does not only forgive your past, He transforms your future. So if your heart feels hard today, do not give up. Keep knocking on the door of Allah. Keep making dua. Keep opening the Quran. Keep trying, because a heart that continues seeking Allah will never be abandoned. And perhaps the peace you have been searching for was never far away. Perhaps it was waiting for you in the place where your heart truly belongs. With Allah,